What's up guys, Sandu here. Today I'll be testing quite an unusual but also an unique looking headphone from Hifiman. These are called Deva. These are open back wired headphones that also doubles as wireless headphones if you want. It goes for 219 bucks for the wired only version or 299 for the wireless and wireless version. Full disclosure first, I received these ones directly from Hifiman. But all my subjective opinions are my own, that will be backed up by some measurements later on. So don't you worry, these will be my honest opinions. So let's check them out. Hifiman Deva has a small family resemblance with their much older designs, especially the cap design and the headband are looking very alike to their older creations. I like their newer shade system and the bigger ear caps and deeper cushioning compared to their Sandara headphones. Of course, at that price point, some sacrifices needed to be made. So besides the metal arms that are holding the cups and the hinge that adjusts the height, everything else is plastic made. The headband and the earpad material are most probably made from fox leather, but don't worry on the pads, as the side that touches the cheeks is having a soft textile material that is breathing and does not make you sweat. The earpads are user replaceable, and when you get them out you can clearly see that planar-magnetic driver. Technology-wise, yep guys, this is actually a planar driver. It has an impedance of just 18 ohms and a very DAP-friendly sensitivity of just 93.5 decibels per 1 milliwatt of power. In the passive wired mode, Deva is not that difficult to drive, as a smart device with a stronger headphone output could move them pretty nicely. But a dedicated headphone amplifier, be it portable or not, should improve their performance quite a bit. As for the Bluemini Bluetooth module, there is a lot of good stuff packed up in this one, but there are also a few missed opportunities which I'll mention in a second. When it comes to good stuff, Bluemini has all the best Bluetooth codecs on the market, as LDAC, aptX HD, and less important ones as aptX, AAC and CBC. Bluetooth version seems to be at 4.2 instead of 5.0 as the newest devices are having, but don't you worry, as the Bluetooth range is more than decent in an open space. This module can also work as a wired dedicated DAC and headphone amp combo for this headphone, which is really nice. I used them in 3 different setups. First of all, connected to a smart TV, watching some movies and YouTube videos. Then I connected them to my Android smartphone, streaming some high-resolution content from Tidal HiFi, and then in passive mode wired to a high-end desktop setup. Deva was recognized instantly by a Sony TV. I've tried Netflix on it, I've watched few YouTube videos, and I'm glad to report that lip sync was perfect. I didn't have latency issues, it simply worked flawlessly. Since Deva is a 219 or 299 bucks headphone, in this review I'll be using less audiophile terms, so you should better understand their sound quality. And please let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to use less audiophile terms in my future headphone reviews. So the next setup that I tried was connecting these ones to my smartphone via LDAC, which is currently the best Bluetooth codec. And the absolute first impressions that I've got is that Deva sounds incredibly clean, very airy, very wide, and considerably bigger compared to my all wireless headphones that I tried to this point. Do also note that Deva is still the first open back and wireless headphones that I tried to this point, so its open sounding presentation shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Another surprise was hearing more details in my music that I felt somehow around my head and not inside my head, as it usually happens with closed back wireless headphones as Sennheiser Momentum 3 or Master and Dynamic MW65. There are quite a few similarities in its tonality and overall sound quality with its much bigger brother and much more expensive Hifiman area that you can see right here and that I'm using almost daily. So they both have this ethereal and lighter weight sound that doesn't want to hit your eardrums with a bigger force. The bass, while having a decent quality, is not going very down, very low, and the impact that should follow is simply felt less impactful somehow, so less impressive. So I will say it from the start that in terms of bass, Deva will not impress a bass addict, nor those Bose or Beats or Sony XM3 users. It was to impress you a lot more with its cleanness and accuracy. There is bass in here and there is sub bass in here too, but Deva renders it light on foot with less meat to the bone. So I was feeling good when I was listening to Infected Mushroom, but I was not feeling great, if you know what I mean. So mid-bass performance is considerably better on this one, so it's better defined, there is a lot of more quantity to it, punch was better too, but again it will not impress bass addict. All those closed back wireless headphones that I tried, Sennheiser WN23, Sony XM3s and Master and Dynamic were better at these ones, but by design you should understand that closed back headphones are basically champions in this region, and that is fine by me. Nonetheless, I could follow bass note pretty easily with Hifiman Deva, so bass guitars felt simply natural sounding, males didn't sound as females, so mid-bass performance was considerably better in my book. I would personally like to hear a little bit more soul, a little bit more emotions, more body, more meat to the bone in terms of mid-range, but sadly Deva doesn't have those, so I don't hear it full-bodied sounding, I don't hear it having its tonality, but it is neither thin sounding or dry sounding in the mid-range. So the biggest downgrade actually compared to the Hifiman area is actually the texture of the mid-range, the texture of the string instruments, for example, where I felt those guitar plugs more metallic somehow and less natural sounding somehow. So in its defense I will say that Deva is actually crystal clear sounding in terms of mid-range, and you can hear everything in there without flexing your brain or your ears too much. I can't spot any deviation from linearity, so no peaks, no rises in this one. Voices sounded very centered and basically on the same level with the rest of the band. So I've listened to some rock tunes, to some jazz tunes, and while I was enjoying listening to that, I was not toe tapping and I was not headbanging, so I simply wanted just a little bit more emotion, just a little bit more energy in the bass and mid-range. All Hifiman headphones are pretty amazing in terms of treble response, and Deva simply feels no different to those. I can't spot any brightness in this one, this is most probably the most important part, but there is a very good amount of energy and detail in this region. Treble was mostly felt very clean sounding, very defined all the time, and this is exactly where Deva is simply destroying all those closed back wireless headphones that I've tried up to this point, including those expensive Sony's, Sennheisers and Master and Dynamic. So Deva was simply unlocking a higher degree of detail and on the micro scale, as there is simply more going on in here with these ones. Another key point where Deva is winning the battle against those closed back and wireless headphones is actually the detail retrieval, or how many additional sounds you can hear with these ones compared to the closed ones, closed back headphones. So Hifiman Deva is simply putting a little bit more on the plate. If there are more mastering errors, if there are more hissing in your tunes, especially those older tunes, you can hear that much easier with the Deva. So on one hand, Deva will work as a magnifying glass for your music, but on the other hand, less than perfect records will be shown to you why those are less than perfect. Soundstage level is above average compared to expensive open back headphones, but absolutely amazing compared to those wireless closed back headphones that I've tried. So I wasn't surprised at all to hear all my music around me, wider than usual, but also taller and also deeper as well. So this is where Deva actually reminds me quite a lot about the Hifiman Aria headphones, which are much more expensive, but are sounding very alike. And in my humble opinion, Hifiman Deva is actually outperforming its competition like Odyssey LCD1 and Olo S4, which is an impressive technical achievement in terms of soundstage, of course. Later on, I tried listening to them in the wired mode, so I detached this Bluemini adapter, I connected their cable, and I connected them to two old school headphone setups. So first of all was the Matrix Audio Element X driven by the Benchmark HPA4, and the second one was the HydraVox stack by AudioByte. So I've listened to the same songs that I've tried in the wireless mode, obviously, and the biggest improvement with the first rig was in terms of bass and in terms of bass slam and bass quantity. So I simply spotted much more of it, and finally Deva awoke some very impressive sub-bass information. Bass was hitting with a much bigger force, and few additional layers of information were unlocked as well. And from a $219 headphone, Deva was sounding more like a $600 headphone. When I connected them to the second rig, so to the Hydravox stack, the mid-range was improved considerably, so I could almost call them smooth sounding at this point. So the drivers inside the Hifiman Deva can show a difference when you connect them to a much better DAC and headphone amp combo. And if you want much more out of them, simply connect them to your desktop setup and an immediate change will be heard. Going wired with the USB Type-C, Deva sounded basically undistinguishable compared to listening to them wirelessly with the LDAC codec engaged. So I was using Windows volume, which is really uncomfortable to use, but other than that they sounded just a little bit more clearer compared to the wireless mode, with a slight increase in detail, and that wide and airy soundstage didn't disappear at all. So I was wanting just a little bit more of that magical mid-range from the Hydravox stack, and just a little bit more punch, a little bit more bass slam from that benchmark HPA4. But everything else was in here, including plenty of volume to play with. I also want to talk about the elephant in the room. So if you are coming from wireless headphones as Sony XM3s, Sennheiser Momentum Free, Master and Dynamic MW65, as I did to this, there is a very strong sense of confusion. So you cannot use Deva in public transport, in a subway, on a plane, or simply in public places. Deva are open back headphones, so you'll be hearing everything around you. Deva doesn't have any noise cancellation too. It doesn't have a microphone for making calls, nor volume buttons for convenience. So you cannot listen to them outside, but if you do that, you will need to take out your phone out of the pocket quite often to adjust that volume time and time again. Deva is a wireless desktop headphone that should be used only at home, in your office, hotel room, and so on. However, in places like that, I would rather use a dedicated desktop setup or maybe a portable DAP. That will give me more control, better sonics, and I would simply squeeze a lot more out of them. I am not criticizing Deva for what it is. I'm just trying to understand where I could actually use this Bluemini dongle. And in my humble opinion, I think a closed back Deva will make a lot more sense with few additional features and buttons on the Bluemini module. I also measured the wired performance using a mini DSP ear system, so I will briefly show you right now the raw frequency response. I am actually surprised to see those clean lines and those close to perfect frequency response. When I am applying a gentle smoothing, you can clearly see the driver deviation that happens only in the treble. It is only by a few dB, so nothing to be worried about. Their total harmonic distortion at 84 dB of volume is very good too. As you can see, it is a bit less than 0.2%, which is impressive to see. Spectrogram reading is showing some grain and some weird driver movement in the sub-bass. It seems that their drivers are struggling a bit in this region. Their waterfall and spectral decay are showing a longer decay in the bass and most of the hotspots in the frequency response. I am pretty surprised by their good measurements in the wired mode. I didn't compare the Deva with the rest of the wireless closed back headphones because those are closed and this is a not, so apples versus oranges, and I see no point in comparisons like this. As for the conclusion, as a wired only headphone at $219, Deva is really hard to beat, and as an open back headphone to be listened at home, Deva can go easily head to head with more expensive designs any time of the day. And it might lose only in terms of refinement, where both frequency extremes felt a little bit more raw and unpolished. But at this price, Deva outperforms probably everything else when it comes to details, layering, and airiness. When it comes to wireless performance, with that LDAC codec, they sounded pretty good and offered few additional traits that other headphones, wireless headphones, didn't have. On the other hand, I really wish that Hifiman would put more tech inside this Bluemini module, will increase its battery capacity, will make it more universal with the rest of the headphone offerings from Hifiman. A microphone and 2 volume buttons will increase its feature set. And a closed back Deva will be absolutely great when listening in noisy environments. With all that said, please remember those planar magnetic drivers, this build quality and comfort, this Bluemini module, and obviously this price point, which is really hard to beat. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. My in-depth review is waiting on my website. In case you want to support the channel, please subscribe to it, and thank you for doing that. And as usual, listen to my music, be positive, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, bye bye.